Hello, everyone's coming in. Welcome. All right, people are filing in. Grab a seat, get comfortable. I'm going to start talking in. Hey, what's up, everyone? People are joining. Good. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Get comfortable. I'm going to talk for, a little bit. And then I'm going to have time for questions and answers. So I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to come in. Mike Knox, he's in the front row. Awesome, dude. Keep it down. People can't see behind you. All right. I'm just going to wait for a couple. People are spilling in. So I'm going to just vamp for a few minutes. Jamie says, thank you for doing all these amazing videos. You're very welcome. Can I have a beer? Go get a beer. You have time. It's a little early for a beer. Maybe not where you are. Morning from snowy NYC. Whew, my daughter's in snowy NYC. Blizzard. Can I hang out in the back? Certainly you can. Welcome to the School for TV Writing on InstaFace. Yep, let's all say nice things about Instagram because Mark Zuckerberg has us over a barrel. Okay, so I think, I don't know, but we can start. No, a couple people were still joining in. I guess I gotta wait. Let me just talk real fast. I'll introduce myself in case you don't know. My name is Michael Jamin. I've been a professional TV writer. I rub my face a lot. I've been a professional TV writer for 26 years. I've worked on a ton of shows, mostly sitcoms. I started on Just Shoot Me. They include King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead, Marin, Wilfred, Brickleberry, Rules of Engagement, Out of Practice. Did I say, what else? I'm looking at the wall. I don't know. I got a lot of credits. I'm currently co-executive producer on Tacoma FD, and my partner and I have sold, a dozen or so pilots, and we've and a couple of movies. And so I've worked with, so this talk is really for actors and aspiring actors and writers and directors, anybody who wants to break into the business. And I'm talking about, I'm going to be talking about getting an agent today. Okay? And how to get an agent and how to keep an agent. So we're going to lay it down. I don't know if you guys are going to like what you're going to hear, but I lay it down. So let's begin. If I look over here this way a lot, it's not because I'm paranoid. It's because this is where my notes are over there. I don't want to miss my notes. And I don't want anybody thinking I'm paranoid, all right? You don't think I'm paranoid, do you? I don't want anybody to think I'm paranoid. A lot of people think I'm paranoid. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this a lot. Okay. All right, so first thing, so why am I doing this? Well, I am working on a project where I have to grow my social media following real fast. So the best way to do that is by giving all this knowledge away, which is why I do these lives, which is why I do my podcast, and I post on different platforms. And so this is the best way to grow following. So this is all free. The best way to grow following is to talk and share everything I know. If you'd like to have some of this content emailed to you, like my best tips, and I'm going to repeat this a couple times, you can join my watch list. So once a week, I email you my best content for actors and writers and directors. To get on the watch list, you go to michaeljamin.com/watch list, or you can find the link in my profile. Second thing, and then I'm going to begin the talk. I'm just kind of vamping until people show up. And then the second thing, I got a podcast called Screenwriters Need to Hear This. So if you like the little discussions that I have here on my, I do 2 or 3 minutes a day, then I really do a deep dive on the podcast where we really slow down and we explain everything more in depth. That's called Screenwriters Need to Hear This. You can also find the link to that in my profile if you're on Instagram, and or you can find it on Google or Apple or Amazon Music. It's everywhere you have podcasts. I don't know. And then finally, I also have a book coming out called A Paper Orchestra, which is a collection of personal essays, and they're all humorous. If you're a fan of David Sedaris, you'll like this. I love David Sedaris, so I don't write like him because he's a master, and I write like me. But you'll enjoy it. And if you'd like to read a free story, actually one of the stories, like the story I give away right now, you may want to download it for free because it's a story about how I got an agent. This is years ago, how I got an agent and how I teamed up with my writing partner. And so that's a fun little story. I'm not sure it's my favorite story because it's not really like a tearjerker, but I think it's the one that will most attract people like you to download because everyone wants to know how to break into Hollywood and how to get an agent. So you can go get that for free at michaeljamin.com/story. Then when the book comes out, I'll send you an email. Hey, buy my book on Amazon. Okay. And then finally, of course, many of you know I have a screenwriting course, and you can learn more about that in my profile as well if you really want to take a deep dive. Are we ready to begin? Sure. We got a lot of people here. Okay. So all of you, I assume you're here because you all want to have an agent because you feel like Whether you want to be a writer or director or an actor, you feel like, well, if I have an agent, they will sell what I have. And they were the key to making me successful. And they'll work for me and they'll sell me. And all I need is an agent, right? And once I have an agent, my life will change. Well, here's the sad truth, I think. I think you have to change your life before you get an agent. That's just how it works. A lot of people think that Hollywood agents are like real estate agents. Like you have a house, I can sell my house. I get a real estate agent. And for the right amount of money, you will sell your house. You know, whatever it is, even if no one wants it, you just lower the price and eventually you'll sell your house. And a screenplay is not the same thing. It's not like you have a screenplay, I get an agent, and okay, I'll just lower the price and I'll sell them. It doesn't work that way. Hollywood agents are not real estate agents. So that's the first thing you got to know. You want to sell your agent. You want your agent because you want to sell your work, your screenplay, or maybe you want an agent to help get you on a show. All right. I want an agent to sell my screenplay, to get me on a TV show. I want an agent to make me a showrunner. I want an agent so I can live in Hollywood, have a big house in the Hollywood Hills, and drive a fast car. And I want an agent. I want. This is what I want. No one cares what you want, right? That's very egocentric. No one cares what you want. Not even your mother cares. You know why? Because your mother doesn't really want you to be in Hollywood. She wants you to be a doctor. So even mom doesn't care what you want. The only one who cares what you want is you. Everyone cares what they want. I care what I want. You care what you want. Hollywood agent cares what he or she wants. So what does a Hollywood agent want? Because you want an agent to help make you want an agent to make all your dreams come true. Oh, and by the way, if you miss all this, I will repost this on my YouTube channel at Michael Jamin Writer in a couple of days or so. So if you missed the beginning, if you're just joining, don't worry. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you can get it there. Okay. And that's at Michael Jamin Writer. So I'm sorry. So your agent, you want an agent to help you make your dreams come true, right? The agent wants you to help them make their dreams come true. That's it, right? So it's not what no one cares what you want. Everyone cares what they want. I'm going to say this a couple of times. So the agent, what does the agent want? Well, the agent wants to make a lot of money. The agent wants to have a house in the Hollywood Hills. They want a fast car, and they don't want to work that hard because they want to spend time with their family, which is the same exact thing that you want. The agent wants exactly what you want. It sounds like superficial, but they want what you want. We're all the same. So if you want an agent, you have to give them what they want, not what you want. Hold on. Time for a spin drift. Okay. So what do they really want? What does an agent want? The agent wants, they already have a roster full of clients, right? We don't know how many they have. They'll never give you a straight answer how many clients they have. Let's say it's 30. I don't know. Let's say it's 30 clients. And maybe they take on a couple of new clients where the hearts are coming in. Probably because I drank Spindrift, not because I'm dropping all this wisdom. Damn, you guys are superficial. So they have a roster full of clients. And maybe they'll take on one or two new clients every year. We don't know. They won't tell you. But they already have a bunch of clients they have to service. They're already having trouble serving. It's hard enough dealing with those people. If they're going to take on one or two new clients a year, those clients better offer something really, really special. And you would feel the same way if you were an agent. You'd be like, I want someone who's. So basically, what an agent wants is someone who's on the verge of popping, someone who's basically so close to breaking in, and then that person will make me a lot of money, not just for this year, but like over the course of their 30, 40-year career, right? That's what they want. They want someone who, I push them in just a little bit, and then that's like a revenue stream for the next 40 years. And so if you have to be that person. So what does that mean? Because they honestly, they're not bad people, but they want to do the least amount of work possible for their client. And you would do the same. I want someone who I don't have to, I want someone who's just on the verge, who I can do the least amount of work possible, and then go hang out with my family and drive my fast car. And you would be the same. You would do the same. So if you are a hobbyist, if you are in Indiana and you're a dentist and you have a screenplay, and wouldn't it be great to sell my screenplay? I've always had this idea that I've been working on ever since dental school. My idea is about a dentist who fights crime. That dentist in Indiana does not fit the bill because that person's not on the verge. That person already has a job, and they're not going to provide revenue for the next 40 years. They're a hobbyist. Why would anyone want to work hard for that person when they're not taking their career that seriously? They already have a career. So if that describes you, forget it. You're not going to get an agent because you're not giving the agent what they want. If you are a young, hungry woman who just moved to Hollywood and got a job on a TV show as a production assistant or as a writer's assistant and has been doing this for a couple of years and is about to, pop, you're about to break in as a writer or something, that's somebody that an agent may be very interested in you because you're already hustling. You're here, you're in Hollywood, you're working, you're grinding, you're making the work, you're making the connections, you're working hard for your career. That that someone would be an attractive client because you've already sacrificed so much. They want I think they want someone who will do 99% of the hustle. And you would be the same. You'd want someone who does, I'll just do the 1% and they can do the rest. Right? That's just fair. I mean, you'd be the same way. There's something in Hollywood. So the question is, how do you become that person? And we'll talk a little more about that. Thank you, Spindrift. If you don't give Spindrift love, Spindrift doesn't give you love. That's a lesson. There's something in Hollywood called hip pocketing, where an agent will not take you on as a client, but they will agree to represent you. They'll agree to tell people, so that way you can go around telling people, yeah, I have an agent. Joe Schmo at this agency, he's my agent. And even though that person won't send you out on meetings, they won't really work for you, you can say you have an agent. And then if you have a meeting with a producer, and then you can say, hey, you can call this agent, and you can say, hey, can you send this producer my screenplay? And they'll do that. Like, that's nothing. That's sending an email. That's nothing. They're not really working for you, but they'll send out an email. That's like easy, right? And so that's what hip pocketing is. If you have that opportunity, that's pretty good. And often you can be hip pocketed. And by the way, there are, I wouldn't recommend trying to find an agent until you're absolutely ready. If you're a screenwriter, they're not looking for an okay script. They're not looking for something that's, pretty good or needs work. They're not looking to hold your hand. They're not looking to help you make it better. It better be great. So if you want to be a screenwriter, you can, you better be sending out something good. That's what my class focuses on. If you're interested in the course, the link is in my profile at michaeljamin.com/course. But we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about agents. But I got to that anyway. Now, a couple of days ago, I did a talk on Instagram about understanding the marketplace for screenplays, and then I did another talk. I don't remember what it was, probably on Instagram. And a young woman, I think she was young, she left a comment. She's pretty angry. She left a comment how breaking in as an actor is harder now than it was 20 years ago. And I didn't agree with that. I don't think it's harder. I actually think it's easier. But she doesn't agree with that. Okay, we can agree to disagree. But her point was, because, by the way, the reason why one of the reasons why I think it's easier now is because of social media, because you can talk to people like me. When I broke into Hollywood in 1992, there was no internet, there was no social media. I didn't know a damn person in Hollywood. I didn't have access to this kind of information for free. And you all do have it now. So I think that's a huge leg up. I think so when she says it's so much harder now, it's like, you don't really know what hard is. But whatever, we can agree to disagree. But one of her reasons for why it's harder now to break in is because she says that nowadays influencers get a lot of roles, are offered roles on for acting parts that would go to actors, and there's some truth to that. A lot of roles will go to influencers with a big following, and a lot of these, and she points out, rightly so, that a lot of these influencers don't even want to be actors, and they make plenty of money on these stupid Instagrams or whatever they do. So why they don't? But they get offered these roles, so they take it. And she's right about that. The rules of the game has changed a little bit. The rules of the game have changed, but this woman is complaining about it. I'm not sure what the point of complaining it is. She's saying how unfair it is, and my answer is, yeah, and so what's your point? What's your point? Complaining to me is not going to change it. I have no power to change it. I want to give you one little sidetrack story, and then hang with me because this is going to relate to you. Thank you, Spindrift. There was a show. I'm old enough to remember the show Survivor when it first came out. You all know what the show Survivor is now. And when it first came out, it was fascinating. They took these 20 people, and hang on, I know I'm digressing. They took 20 people or whatever. They put them on an island in the South Pacific, and they no food, no nothing, no fishing lines, and they basically said, okay, you're on your own, duke it out. And then once in a while they do a challenge so they could each get a grain of rice because they're all starving because they couldn't catch a fish, and it was fascinating. The first season was fascinating. And then pretty early on, they started forming alliances, and which was pretty shrewd. Forming alliances, like I wouldn't have thought of that. And then this became this hit show. And then as the years progressed, they had to change the rules on Survivor to make it interesting for the viewer, because we'd already saw that. We better change the rules, and they would mix it up. And now, if you watch Survivor now, the rules are ridiculous. Like halfway through the season, they say, "Okay, now we're switching teams." Now 5 people are going to this team, and now 4, and now you can only hunt fish with your right hand. I mean, and here's an immunity idol, and the immunity gets a chance to be on this private island. Like they're constantly changing the rules of the game during the game. Now, if you watch football, I like watching football. Like the rules of the game are set up at the beginning of the game, and they haven't changed much in 50 years. They changed them tiny, but the rules, everyone knows the rules at the start of the game. They don't change the rules in the middle of the game, but they do it, right? And so on Survivor, they changed the rules in the middle of the game, and I think it's bullshit. Like, because now you can't strategize. You can't go into the game with a strategy. It's like, and so it takes all the skill out of it, and it changes it to, like, a lot of it is luck and bullshit. And so I'm out. I don't watch Survivor anymore. But whatever, a lot of people do. But my long-winded point is, there are rules to the game. And so when Survivor changes the rules, the contestants can, no one's saying, "Oh, damn it, you changed, this is not fair to change the rules." They're like, "All right, the rules are changing. I got to stick, I want to win $1 million, so I better play by the rules." I'm sure they're not happy when Survivor throws a wrench like that. But the contestants don't quit. My point is, they adapt to the rules. So this is a long-winded way of saying that this woman is complaining about the rules being unfair. Stop. What do you want? So then get out. The rules are changing. Get out. If you don't, and I don't blame you, because she doesn't want to become an influencer. She doesn't want to make her own content on social media. She doesn't want to do what these other people are doing to get offers. I don't blame her for not wanting to do it, because to me it strikes me as bullshit and shallow. I don't blame her. But if you want to do it, these are the rules. Sorry, sorry. And like I said, I don't blame her for not wanting to do it. But this is what it takes if you want to do it. So my point is, there are people, I say, if you want to break into Hollywood and you want to give your agent, you want to make yourself attractive to agents, you better move to Hollywood. You better hustle here. You make contacts here. You better try to work on a TV show as a PA or do all that stuff. Get closer to the job that you want. And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you're stuck in Indiana because you're caring for, elderly mom or whatever it is. I understand that you don't want to come. It's going to make it harder for you to get an agent. It's good because it's going to make yourself harder to become attractive to an agent. That's just the reality. Can you still break in? Yeah, you can. There are things you can do, and there are people, I see it all the time, who are still breaking in without coming to Hollywood. They're still making themselves attractive to agents. People like Elise Myers, who posts. She's pretty brilliant. She does these little short stories, and she's you can follow her on Instagram. She's got like 1 billion followers, but they're crafted. It's not like her bullshitting or doing shuffle dances or making waffles. She writes them and then she performs them, and she's quite good at them. But she takes it seriously. It's scripted. It's not. I can see she puts a lot of work, a lot of craft into what she's doing. And because of that, she's built this giant following. Because of that, I guarantee you agents are finding her and Hollywood's coming to her. And she doesn't want to, she's wherever. I don't even know what her intentions are, but that's one way to do it. There's another guy named Mark Ribbolay who's a musician. Same thing. He plays music in his underwear, in his condo. And he's hilarious to watch, and he's quite good at it. And so that's something that you can do. You don't need my permission or anyone else's permission to be making your work and putting it out there. You can put it on YouTube. I would suggest you don't. I would suggest, first of all, it has to be well written, more so than even well shot. My partner and I ran a show called Marin on IFC. It was a real low budget show. And we shot that show in the first season in 2.5 days per episode, which is nuts. Like most shows, even low budget shows have 5 days to shoot an episode. 5 days, and we did it in 2.5, which means it's like, I used to tell the director and the camera operators, as long as your thumb isn't in the picture, we're good, honestly. And people liked it because the writing was good and the acting was good. And the sound has to be good, obviously, because if you can't hear it, the sound has to be good. But you can shoot whatever you have on your iPhone. You can put it up. You can make these little shorts. You can put the work into it, but the script has to be good. You have to understand story structure. That's something I teach, but whatever. I'm not here to talk about it, but I do teach that. So once you get an agent, and how do you get an agent? Like I'm at one of the big 4 agencies. I've been at UTA for about almost all my career. There's some big, right? They're not going to take you on unless you have a lot to offer, like this Elise Myers person. Unless you're giving Hollywood a lot, because she has a built-in market. It's easy to sell her. She's got 5 million. She's got more fans than NBC and ABC and CBS combined, right? So it's easy for her to get somebody. But you can do a search on Google for agencies that will read unsolicited scripts, not the big ones, but the small ones. And but don't send them anything unless it's ready, because you only have one shot to make a good first impression. If you send them a script that's okay, they're not going to be interested. It's got to be great. I mean, like I said, they're only going to take on a couple new clients a year, and you're competing against not just the people who want to get an agent, but you're also competing against some of their current clients who are young, who are just broken in. So they only have so much bandwidth. They're not like I said, they're not looking to help you. They're not looking to help make your dream come true. They're looking for you to help make their dream come true. Okay. Which is better, a big agency or a small agency? As long as you have an agent that believes in you and wants to work for you, it doesn't really make a difference. I've been at UTA with some big, powerful agents, and then a couple times in my career, they've called us in. They've called us in for meetings. By the way, if you're asking questions, it's okay. You can ask your questions, but I'm not going to answer them now. I'll wait till the end and answer your questions. You can submit them now, but that's fine. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to answer them yet. So they've called us in for meetings, our big shot agents, and they say, "Hey, we want you to meet your new agent. It's going to be helping out." And there's always some like young junior agent, like fresh out of school after a couple of years or whatever, and it's always like, "Wait, what? What? Am I being demoted? What's going on here?" It's you get a little fear, like, why am I getting the new guy? And honestly, it's always worked out because those new young people are eager, they're hungry. They don't have the same connections that the big players have. Like those guys, they open doors, but because they're hungry and they want to make a name for themselves, they work hard. And so I don't have a problem. I no longer have a problem with getting the new guy, the new young junior man or woman. Often that works out in my favor because they hustle. If you are an actor, I don't know how many actors we have here. This is a good question. I should have asked this earlier. If you're an actor, give me some hearts or thumbs or whatever it's waves, whatever you call it on Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg, what do you call it on Instagram? Likes? Give me some likes if you're an actor. And then I'm going to ask you in a minute. None? Okay. Give me some hearts or likes if you are an aspiring screenwriter. We got a couple. Okay. If you're a screenwriter, there's a lag here. If you're a screenwriter, give me some hearts. Okay, good. Okay, so good. All right, now I know who you are. We're getting a lot of hearts. Okay. So, we have more writers and actors here. Good. If you are an actor, what I would recommend is invite agents to your performance and pay for their tickets, and invite the assistants too. Because these assistants, they're real young. They're going to be agents at some point. And my advice, and this applies for screenwriters too. If you can get an assistant on the phone, treat them like they are the world's most powerful agent, because one day they might be. And if you wind up talking to their boss, the boss is going to say, "Hey, what do you think?" The boss is probably going to ask them for their opinion. And if you're a jerk to the assistant's going to say, "That person's a jerk." And if you're really nice to them, they're going to say that too. I've been in meetings a couple times where I'm meeting some person I don't even know, whatever. And they say, "Hey, we actually met." And I'm like, no, I don't remember meeting you. And now I'm embarrassed. And they say, "Yeah, we met. I was an assistant on a desk for an agent, and you were real nice to me that day." and we talked, and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't, we didn't treat you like an asshole. Because these people don't stay in these low-level jobs forever. They rise up. So whether you're an aspiring actor or screenwriter, treat the assistant like they're already the biggest person in Hollywood. Hey, can I send you my script? Hey, can I, whatever? Can I take you out for a drink or pick your brain? Whatever it is, treat them that way. And it might, might take a couple of years to pay off, but it probably will. Okay, so, God damn, that Spindrift is good. If you're just joining, and a lot of you are just joining, let me take a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to get back to the lecture. Oh, a lecture. No one wants to be lectured. If you're just joining, a couple things you should know about. I got something called the watch list, which is I send out my tips for actors and screenwriters and creative types once a week. Every Friday, we send you my top 3 videos. And to get on my watch list, you go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist. Boom. That's free. Unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you. Write that down. Write it down. Second thing, I got a podcast called Screenwriters Need to Hear This, where I go into all the stuff we talk about on my videos. I go into greater detail. You can subscribe to that. The podcast is called Screenwriters Need to Hear This. The link is in my profile here, but you can also find it on my website at michaeljamin.com/podcast. Secondly, if you are enjoying this talk, you can't count, idiot. Thirdly, if you're enjoying this talk about breaking into Hollywood and how to get an agent, I have a book coming up, a collection of personal essays called A Paper Orchestra. And the first story, I'm giving away the first story so I get you on my email list. And then when the book comes out, I'll send you an email. Hey, buy the book on Amazon. But I'm not going to spam you, until then. Don't worry about it. But the free essay that I give away is how I got my agent. And it's a fun story, and how I met my writing partner, and how that all went down, and literally how we broke into Hollywood. And I like the story. It's a good story. It's not my favorite story, but I think it's a story that will most interest people like you, because you all want to break into Hollywood. So go grab that. It's free. You can get that at michaeljamin.com/story, or you can find the link in my profile as well. Okay, and now back to the bullshit. Okay, let me. I got more things I want to lecture about. Whew, I make it sound so unsexy, but that's what it is, I guess. Okay, when you do get an agent, you do get signed or even hip pocketed. Here are questions you might want to ask your agent. First of all, I didn't put this in my notes. But by the way, agents you don't pay your agent up front, right? That's a shyster. You never do that. No, you don't pay a nickel, right? The agents get paid a commission. They get 10% of everything you sell. So, that guy, you don't pay up front. That's not an agent, okay? So when you get signed by an agent, here are some questions that you can ask them. You can say, what's your strategy for the first 3 months? Okay. And, it doesn't really matter what it is, by the way. You don't really care what their strategy is. You just want to know that they have a strategy, that they are going to do something. That way you can check in on them. If their strategy might be stupid. They may say, hey, we're going to put flyers on cars in all the parking lots and all the cars outside the Ivy, the big restaurant in Beverly Hills. That sounds like a terrible strategy. But what you need to say is, great, how can I help you? How can I help do that? How can I help you do that? Right? Help them. You want to say, how can I help you do your job to help me? They don't hear that a lot. How can I help them? One question you would love to know the answer is, what kind of clients do you represent? Now, they'll never tell you who they represent. They just don't. I've asked. They're always cagey about that. But you can ask. Well, ideally, if you want to break into television, what you ideally want to hear is that they represent big showrunners that work a lot, because those showrunners, they get a job, and now they have to put together a writing staff. And the first thing they do, like when I'm running a show, the first thing I do is I call my agent and say, hey, we're hiring. I call my agent first. We're hiring, send me some scripts. Why do I call my agent first? Because I want to give my agent's clients jobs. Why? Because it makes me look good in my agent's eyes. I want to help my agent so that they will help me again in the future. So yes, I give preferential treatment to my agent's clients. Doesn't mean I always hire them, but I give them. I read their script first. You didn't know that, did you? Another thing I often say to my agents is, or my manager, I'll say, how often should I touch base with you without becoming a nuisance? And then they'll always say the same thing. Oh, you're never a nuisance. But I always say that. I always say, how often should I without being annoying? Because I'm sure they have clients that are annoying. And maybe the squeaky wheel gets grease or whatever, but I don't like to be that person. I don't like to become a nuisance, because if I do, I know they have clients that are nuisances. I've heard them talk about them, and I don't feel like the next step is a good one for those people. I mean, and by the way, this advice doesn't apply to Sean. If you're Shonda Rhimes and you're listening to this, if you're listening to this podcast or whether this talk, or if you're Chuck Lorre and you happen to be listening to this, none of this advice applies to you. Okay, but this applies for the rest of us. Anyone who's below those giant people. And I don't think they're watching my Instagram, so don't worry. So another thing you can ask them, say, how long can I, touch base? How often can I touch base without being a nuisance? And that'll be helpful. And then I take that to heart. You can also tell them to make yourself more attractive as a client, either before they sign you or after. You can say, here's a list of my contacts. Here are a list of people that I know that can help me, that can help you help me. And you list all your Hollywood. Now, you may not have Hollywood contacts. Why not? Because you don't live in Hollywood. That's another reason to be in Hollywood. Because you can be your contact, could be that guy in the gym that you work out with. If you live in Hollywood, you're going to meet people like that. A friend, someone you met, you become friendly with, and you can list them as a contact. Even if they're not even a really close contact, you can still kind of list them. And it shows that you are putting effort into your own career, which makes you attractive as a client. Because again, they want clients who do 99% of the work. It's not fair. It's not fair, but we've already established that the rules are not fair. Here's another tip that I have. I never call or email my agent complaining about something or asking, hey, what are you doing for me? Instead I send them updates with ways that I'm advancing my own career. And by the way, a lot of this advice applies even to people at my level. Like, I'm still hustling. You get it? I've been doing this 26 years. You think a guy like me wouldn't need to hustle? Well, guess what? You do. So I always say, this is what I've done this week or this month or whatever. This is what I've done to advance my career. I say that to guilt them, to let them know I'm working hard. And the implied is, well, what are you doing to advance my career? That's what's implied. What you can say, another thing you can say is, can you? It's very vague. Like a lot of people are going to say, hey, what have you done for me? I haven't gotten work. What can you do for me? And a better way to say it is like, hey, can you arrange an introduction for me with this producer? I have a project that would be good at this studio or with this producer, or I'd like to get on this show. Can you arrange an introduction to me? Give them a specific task to do and see if they do it. They should be able to do it. They should be able to set you up with a general meeting at a studio. That should be nothing. This is how you know you have agents doing anything for you. If you just sign on an agency and they haven't done these things for you in the first 3 months, they haven't set up any general meetings with you, your agent's not working for you. This is not uncommon. I forgot to mention this, but the minute you sign with your agent, the clock is ticking. Not just for them, it's ticking for you. If a year goes by and nothing has happened, you cool off fast. This is harsh. So that's why I say a lot of you I just want an agent. Once I get an agent, things are going to be great. No, dude. The minute you get an agent, it's the same as before. It's the same grind. The clock is ticking. If they haven't gotten you on staff of a show or whatever after a year, you cool off fast. So that's why I say you want to do everything. And I talk about this. I talk about how this works actually, and specifically in that story that you should all download for free at michaeljamin.com/story. What's the name of that essay? I can't even remember what I called it. It'll come to me. But yeah, it's the story of how I broke in, how I got an agent. So you want to do everything possible to aid your agent so that you don't cool off fast, so that you don't rely on them to make your career. Because if that happens, they'll just find someone new. They might not even tell you they found someone new. You may still be on their roster of 30 clients that they never call. They may not dump you but they'll find someone new. One thing I hate, by the way, is when agents said I fire a client. That burns my ass. That I fired a client today. You don't fire a client. The client fires you. Understand? I hate that. I fucking hate that when they say that. You can say you let go of a client, but you don't fire a client. You fire your agent. It's the other way around. Okay. Makes me mad. Okay, now back to my talk here. So yeah, you can say, can you arrange an introduction to me with X, Y, and Z? And you're going to say, I don't know who to arrange a meeting with. Well, that's why if you're in Hollywood, you'll know all these things. That's why if you you watch these movies or TV shows and you see, oh, this client, or you read the trades, or you read Deadline.com and you see which producer is making which kind of project. This is who I would like to meet. That's part of your job, is to read the trades, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline.com. Read it every day. One thing you can also say is, what specs are people reading? So if you're writing a spec script, they should have an answer to that. Hey, what specs do people like to read now? And they'll say, oh, you know what's big? A lot of people want to read the Great, the Catherine the Great show. Everyone's reading that, so write a Catherine the Great. That's advice they should give you, and you should take that to heart. Another thing you could say to an agent, hey, I'm interested in writing with a partner. That's what I told my agent. And that's how I met. That's one of the ways I teamed up with my partner. And again, that's more, the specifics are in the story. But that's a fair thing to say. A lot of people say, how do I find a writing partner? I think a writing partner can be very valuable. And so that's one thing you can ask your agent. Now, I've been talking for a half hour now. Good for me. I have to say, hold on, Spindrift wants to tell me something. What's that, Spindrift? You're delicious? Yes, you are. I have to say that when the pandemic hit 2 years now, fucking A, pandemic, right? I remember going on a walk and telling my wife, as awful as this pandemic is, like, we knew millions of people were going to die. This is terrible. And people are going to be out of work. It's just a fucking disaster, right? But I told her there are people who are going to see this as an opportunity, and they will come out better on the other side of the pandemic. Now, I did not know that one of them was going to be Jeff Bezos, who got divorced like the day of the pandemic. His net worth went down by $38 billion. And the next month he made, because he gave his wife half that money. The next day he more than made up for it because Amazon stock went through the roof. I wasn't thinking about them. I was thinking about people like me. How can I be in a better place after this pandemic is over? And I realized early on that, like, and it applies to you as well. Most of us, the pandemic has given us a gift in some ways, the gift of time. Not all of us. Some of you lost your jobs. You have to hustle. You're driving an Uber. Life has got noticeably worse. You're caring for sick parents or whatever. Nice, I get it. I don't want to be insensitive. But for many of us, it has given us the gift of time because we are, we're not hanging out with friends. We're not going to the movies. We're not going to concerts. We're not leaving the house as much. And so what you do with that time is important. And so, that's when I started really writing my book in earnest. I was like, I want to write a book, and I have all this time. For you, maybe you probably don't want to write a book. You probably want to write a screenplay or whatever. You want to break into Hollywood. While the world is still closed, and it's going to be closed for, it's opening up slowly, but it's still pretty closed. We know that, right? While the world is still closed, you can use this time to improve your craft. Don't even worry about getting an agent. Spend the time becoming a better writer, because that's in high demand. There's no demand for mediocre writers. There's a much higher demand. And even though there are mediocre writers working in Hollywood, I get it. You can turn on the TV and you see it. There's still no demand for it. Like, no one wants them. They're just hired. That's a whole nother discussion. There's still no demand for it. People would much rather have, a talented writer who knows. So use this time to improve your craft. If you want to take my writing course, great. If you have someone else's writing course, go through theirs again. As long as they know what they're talking about, go through theirs again. Write every day. Become better at it. Listen to my tips on all, the podcasts that I give you. You can use this time. There are people, I give away a lot of this information for free, obviously. And most people are not, they're not watching every day. They're not, which is okay, but considering it's all free, like, why aren't you? Like, why aren't you? How bad do you want it? It's free. It's just your time. So that's why I say use this time to, if you don't want to take my course, at least get the free lesson, get on my watch list where I email you the stuff, listen to the podcast where I go in depth, where I talk about all this stuff more. I post different content on each platform because each platform has different pluses and minuses. Like on YouTube, I have long form videos because on Instagram, you can only do on Instagram and TikTok, it's only like 3 minutes. On Instagram, I'm posting more posts. That'll be coming very soon where I have like just tiles, written stuff, written tips that are, because a lot of people don't have time to watch videos. So that's coming very soon. We hired a graphic designer. It's coming soon. So you're going to watch for that. All I ask in exchange is really nothing. All I ask is that you follow me where I give it away because I need to build a following for this project I'm working on. Share my stuff. That would really be helpful. Share it. That's it. You don't have to pay me anything. Just share it. Help spread the word, and help. And by the way, that's also good for you. It's good for you selfishly because if you have a friend, many of you do have aspiring friends who aspire to be actors and screenwriters and all that. If they become successful, what happens if they become successful? They pull you up. They help bring you. They help pull you up. And I've seen that happen. I've helped friends of mine. Some of my friends when I was first breaking in, I'm very loyal to them, and they're loyal to me, and we help each other a lot. We don't compete against each other. We help each other. So I've hired a lot of friends who were, back in the day, we were nobodies, and vice versa. Okay, the fact that, I also want to say one more thing, then I'll get to some questions. Most people don't take advantage of all the free stuff that I post. You guys probably are because you're here sitting through this, my blabbing, and you're sitting patiently while I drink Spindrift. But most people don't, and that's good for you. That's an advantage because, whatever, they don't follow me everywhere because they're like, do I really want to see all this guy on my feed all the time? Wouldn't I get more out of watching my sister-in-law's cat videos? So the more places you learn, you can follow me and learn just different, like do the work, especially the free work, do the work, because that you have a giant leg up over everyone else who's not willing to do the work. Most people are not willing to do the work. They just dream of it. And so that's it. I hope this helped. That's the deal about getting an agent. That's the deal. You got to think about what they want, right? No one gives a shit what you want, right? Remember, that's the takeaway from this. No one gives a shit what you want. So now let's answer some questions. Mike Knox says, I tell everyone about you. Damn straight, I know you do, man. These guys, Mike Knox is in my course, and he's getting a lot out of it. He's one of my star pupils. The only reason I'm being nice to Mike Knox is because he's going to be running Hollywood one day, and I want him to remember me. Okay, let's get some questions here. This is what I'm doing with my finger, scrolling. Thank you for doing these amazing videos. You're very welcome. Oh, I already said that. Welcome to the school. Okay, did that one. I was banned from lives because Instagram does not like my posts. But, oh, yikes. I don't want to be banned. Thank you for taking the time. You're welcome, Nora. Mike says I'm in a safe space. Thank you. I'm scrolling. Hey. Okay, let's start. That's so funny. Nicola's like, let's start already. Stop bullshitting. Again, I'm just scrolling to see if you have any questions. In the meantime, while I scroll, get on my watch. Now's your chance to get on my watch list and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm going to be. If you missed some of this podcast or some of this live, I'm going to be posting it on my YouTube channel at Michael Jamin Writer in a couple of days. I hope, if I don't screw it up. How do you deal with writer's block? That's from Haider Hassan. Well, I know I said your name wrong. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the thing, dude. I don't have the luxury of writer's block. I get paid per episode produced, and I have to make an episode of television every week, or else I get fired. I can't tell the studio, "Ooh, I'm blocked this week. Can you give me another week?" Like I don't have that luxury. So I fall back on my knowledge of story structure. Writing is not easy, but it is simple. And I teach story structure in my course. That's what the course, that's most of it, that's the bulk of it, character development, story structure. So if that interests you, you might want to sign up for that. The link is in my profile. Go to michaeljamin.com/course. There you go. Sometimes I just feel like I can't think of anything when I sit in front of my laptop. Yeah. So get away from your laptop, keep a list of ideas, and I keep a list of thoughts on my phone. They come to me usually right before I go to bed, and I make a note on my phone. Okay. Scroll down. Cynthia Jamin joined. She's my beautiful. What are you? Are you my girlfriend? She's my wife. There's some small. Don't tell her about my girlfriend. There's small time producers that do web series. Okay. Do you think having a following would help you get produced as a writer, similarly to actors getting roles? Not really. Like, no, not really. For actors, yeah, but not for writers. I don't, no, that's not why I'm doing it. So, my mom loves the show Survivor. Okay. Life is unfair. Got that right. That's the Dread Riding Hood. The same is true in, okay. What do you do if you sold something from Andy, and now want an agent? How do you actually approach them, and how do you decide who to approach? Good question. The best time to get an agent is when you don't need one, when you sold one. And what you do is you approach an agent. You say, I have this deal. It's about to go through. Will you negotiate it for me? And I'll give you 10%. Now, you don't need an agent. Like, you could hire an entertainment attorney to negotiate it for less money. But by giving them 10%, like, that's a great way to get an agent. You're giving, like, it's free money for them. They'd be schmucks to say no. Most of them will say, yeah, sure, right? So that's when you want to that's a great time to get an agent. When you've already sold something, you haven't signed the deal, let them negotiate it, which is nothing, which is almost nothing. They get 10% off for doing nothing. So that's how you do it. How do you approach them? You go on Google, you look for agencies, small, you want boutique agencies, you want small agencies. You don't need to go to ICM, UTA, CA. Those are the big ones. You can go to a small one. And that's a great way to do it. Do short films work as writing samples? A script? It could, if the tone was right. If you had it could. If the tone matches the show, like if you have a short film and it's really wacky and crazy, and that kind of feels like a Family Guy, which is wacky and crazy, that could be a good writing sample. Sure. A lot of people sending me hearts. Thank you. I'm an actor also. I have 1 out of 3 SAG vouchers. Good job. You're halfway there. Writer. Okay, mainly background. Okay, I'm scrolling. Aspiring writer doing the first script ever and is networking through social media to find good contacts. Yeah, I don't think social media is a great way to make contacts. I just don't. I just think, I still think grinding it out in person is a better way to do it. But it doesn't hurt, but I don't think it's the best way. Christopher says the watch list is good. Got the last 3 weeks. All right, good. That's an endorsement. Taylor Wright says the podcast is great. It's a must listen. Must. Why are you not listening? You heard Taylor. Taylor says it's must. Sharmarbar. This is like the 4th time I've been in this week. Love, LOL, love this. Yeah, so this is an unusual one because I wrote down notes. Usually I do a lot of lives, but I'm going to try to do a couple more scripted, prepared talks. So continue following me. Lovely Ann says, LOL. That's probably from a joke that I did 100 years ago. McBride, 2826. Do you have a consulting service? No, I don't. And the reason why I don't is because working writers will not read unsolicited material. It exposes us to liability. Like, let's say you have an idea and I have an idea that I'm working on that's similar. You can sue me. Or let's say you have an idea and it's whatever, and I read it, and then a month later, I don't even know how, but I wind up stealing your idea inadvertently because it's in my head, or like I have forgotten about it. I don't want to inadvertently steal your idea, right? So that's why we won't do that. So I don't have a consultant service, but I do have the screenwriting course, which is, I believe, Ask the People are in it. Like, they love it. No one's asked for their money back yet. But, I teach a lot in that. Haha, your face when the frustration shows. Yeah, I know. What you do with the time is important. Yeah, I wrote a book in the pandemic. Congratulations. There's no demand for mediocre writers. Damn straight. I share your stuff because it makes me look good. Christopher, it does. Christopher Mahan, or Mahan Mahan. We don't know how to say your name, but you know how to say your name. Don't worry about it. You're right. It does make you look good, right? He's like, hey, because you're sharing something that's of value to somebody else. Mike Knox, I tell everyone about you. I know, Mike. You're a. We call those in social media. You're an evangelical. Evangelical? I said it wrong. Joe Massa, I'm a good writer. How many agents, managers, production companies should I submit my script to at one time? What would happen if more than one are interested in it? Don't worry about that. More than one are not going to be interested. You'd be lucky if lightning strikes. You can submit it to everyone. But the problem is, here's the truth, man, Joe. This is a good question. Everyone pay attention to this. These people think alike. If you send it to 5 agents and 5 reject you, don't bother with the other 20. They all think alike. Don't bother. Same thing with production companies. Don't bother. They all think alike. So that means go back to your script. Something's wrong. There's something wrong with it. It doesn't ring a bell. Something's not resonating with your script. So I did a while ago. I don't want to tell that story, but I'm telling you, these guys all think alike. And it's not because of, it's because they understand the marketplace. Taylor Wright, how many spec scripts and pilots should I have under my belt when looking for an agent? Well, you need to have two. One that's excellent and one to prove that it's not a fluke. At least two. Anna 10, to be at a level of staff writer, how many specs should I write in a year? Well, it really, again, it's not, it's not quantity, it's quality. You need to show that you've done something great and you can do it again great. What you do need, though, it helps to have a good variety, because like your spec script that's going to get you a job on Family Guy, which is a wacky broad show, is not going to get you a job on something that's a comedy that's more grounded, like Modern Family. And I know that's an old reference, but that show, you need different writing samples to highlight your different tones. Now, if you don't think you can write that way, if you don't think you can write the wacky kind of joke-heavy, Family Guy kind of vibe, don't bother. Don't, because no one needs a mediocre script. Don't put that out there. Focus on if you're a drama writer, let's focus on that. It's good to brand yourself. It's good to put yourself in a box. It really is, because it helps your agent market you. Because you're going to say, I'll do anything. I can write anything you want. But no, your agent wants a specialist, because they can sell a specialist. No one wants to hire someone who can do anything. They want to hire a specialist. That's wisdom. Write that down. Brian the Storyteller, how to find agencies and best way to approach them. Well, kind of what I said. You can Google the ones that are willing to look for, read unsolicited material from, new writers. What percentage of writers smoke? I don't know any writers that smoke. I did know a few. They all died. Do you have any writing exercises? No, I don't really have exercises. Just what I teach in the class. How many days a week and how many hours a day do you sit down and write? So I write every day. If you find writing, I write every day. Someday I usually start the day writing stuff for myself, the stuff that I want to do. Then later in the day, I do the stuff that makes me money, that earns me a living. If the idea of writing for free turns you off, because there's a lot in Hollywood, there's a lot of free work. That's how you do it. If the idea of writing for free turns you off, then you don't want to be a writer, because it's just, this is what we all have to do. Is a bad idea better than no idea? Well, Erica, adult woman, you need a good idea. You don't need a great idea. I talk about this. You don't need a great idea, but you need a good idea. Well, how do you tell a bad idea is not going to do anything for anybody? How do you tell whether it's a good idea from a good idea from a bad idea? Well, this is what I teach in my course. Like, how do you identify a good idea? What I teach in my course is basically, you don't need a great idea. You need a good idea, but you need to execute it great. You need to do a great job executing it. And I'll give you an example, and I apologize for those of you who've already heard me mention this, but it really is a good example. Here's an okay idea for a movie. It's not even a good idea. I'm going to pitch it to you. Tell me what you think. Painfully shy woman can find love for everyone but herself. That sounds like Hallmark Hall of Fame. You've seen that movie 1,000 times. It's a good idea. It's not a great idea. But if you execute it great, that's Amelie. That movie was executed brilliantly, but the logline is not good. The logline, the premise of the movie is not good. It's a masterpiece. So you have to learn how to execute. You have to learn how to be a great writer. You don't need a great idea. I'll give you one more example. I'm sorry if I've already... I should think of new examples, but it's good. Here's an idea. Tell me what you think of this idea. A guy graduates college, winds up having a relationship with an older married woman, kind of gets bored of her, winds up sleeping with her daughter. That sounds like the plot of a porno, right? Honestly, that sounds like the plot of a porn. It's also the plot of The Graduate, which is one of the best movies ever made, because it was executed so brilliantly. And that's what I teach in the course, how to execute it brilliantly. So there's an answer to a question you didn't ask. Do you recommend students who have already graduated college go to film school? My parents are pushing me to get a master's, and I feel it'll put a damper on my filmmaker. filmmaking. No, you don't need to. It depends what you want to do. If you want to be a screenwriter, you do not need to go to film school. At film school, they'll teach you a lot of different things. It's like trade school. They'll teach you how to run a camera, how to do editing. They'll teach you lighting. They'll teach you lens work, how to set up a rig, how to break it down. Like, do you want to know? I don't. You don't need. Like, if you want to learn how to do all that, great. As a screenwriter, you don't need to do any of that. I don't know how to do any of that. I don't know how to light. I don't know how to swing a lens. I don't care. You do need to study screenwriting, though, from somebody, from me, from somebody else. You do need to learn how to do that. If the degree itself, no one cares about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you submit your work, no one's going to say, what, do you have a master's degree in screenwriting? No one cares. No one cares. One of the best writers I worked with, she graduated high school, never went to college, no further education. She was a great writer. So the only thing we care about, we don't care about your diploma. We don't ask about your degree. No one cares. I graduated from Princeton University. No one cares. No one asks, right? They want to know, can you write? Can you write a screenplay that makes me want to turn the page, that's compelling, that makes me want to find out what happens next? Can you do that? That's all we care about. Don't care about the degree. Any suggested resources for learning about dramatic TV writing? Well, it's the same thing. What I teach in my courses, it applies to, and I use dramas as examples. Even though I'm a comedy writer, I have worked on dramedies and I've written some dramas. It's story structure. Again, you know, a drama is just a dramatic story. A comedy is just a funny story, but they're all stories. Lovely Ann. Okay, she already answered. But yeah, with an MFA, you can become a teacher later in life. Yeah, that's true. Right. MFA will help you become a teacher. Brandel Malik. Brandel, I don't know how to say your name, dude. How do you sell something when you don't have an agent, when readers won't read unsolicited scripts? Right. That's the catch-22. How do you get a job without an agent, and how do you get an agent without a job? That's the catch-22 of Hollywood. Well, I did it. Everyone does it. It's just hard. One way you can do it is by becoming someone like Elise Myers, who creates and brings so much value to Hollywood that Hollywood's like, yeah, we got you, because she's offering so much. And look at the work that this woman did. I don't know her. She's like in her 20s or something. She did all this without the promise. She works her ass off without any of the promise of making money. She just did it because she loved doing it. She loved the craft of doing it, and she created. And because she had that love and passion, great things happened. She didn't do it because she wanted to get rich. She didn't do it for any of those reasons. She just did it. And so she didn't do it because she felt like it was a waste of time. So you can do the same. You don't need anyone's permission to create. Alternatively, if you don't like that idea, I'm joking, you can come to Hollywood and get a job as a PA or a writer's assistant on a show and work your way up. The writer's assistant on the show that I'm working on, Tacoma FD, he was a writer's assistant for 3 years. On season 4, the bosses, the showrunners, gave him the bump. All right, kid, you're up. You're a staff writer now. But he grinded it out. And there's no guarantee that'll happen, but he grinded it out. That's how he did it. That's a great way to do it. That's how I did it. That's not really how I did it, but it's kind of how I did it. How do you know you have a good story? TBH Rodriguez? Well, it's like this. You give it to somebody to read, anyone to read. And if they'll tell you if it's good. They'll say, what do I know? I'm not a screenwriter. I don't know if it's good. And you say, no, Mom. Mom, listen to me. You'll say, Mom, when you read it, do you want to turn the page? Do you want to find out what happens next? That's a good story. That's as simple as that. I'm sorry I hit my table. It bounced. If you hire an entertainment attorney, do you pay them afterward like an agent, or do they require fees up front? They'll require you to negotiate. If you wouldn't hire one unless you had a deal to negotiate. Like, you wouldn't hire one. You don't need an attorney unless you have something to negotiate. So it doesn't matter when you pay him. You pay him today or you pay him in a month. It doesn't matter. It's like you're paying him for the job. When I got my entertainment attorney, he's a big shot. Like, my guy's a big shot. He represents A-list celebrities. Like, he tells me his clients, I'm like, dude, really? You know her? But with him, when we signed with him, my partner and I, he was like, I'll do the first deal for free. It wasn't about the money for him. He goes, I'll do it for free because I know you're going to make me a lot of money in the future. So, and this guy's fabulously wealthy, I think, he's really rich. He's a big shot. So with him, it wasn't even about, he didn't even need the money, right? It was just about the long-term relationship. Tickets for your upcoming venture in Massachusetts. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to do a one-man show in the Boston area. It'll be in Newburyport, which is, a half hour outside the city. And tickets won't cost much. It'll be inexpensive. Don't worry. I will talk about that. And so if you want more information, and I'd love to have you show up, if all of you are in the Boston area, I hope you show up for it. It'll be a nice fun event where I'm already rehearsing it. So you can go to michaeljamin.com/story and you can sign up for my free story. And then I'll send out an email when that's coming up, or even on my watch list. You can get on any of my email newsletters. You can get on my watch list, and maybe I'll send out an email. Just one. I'm not going to harass you. I'll just say, hey, I'm in Boston. You want to come see me? That's it. You'll know more about it when I'm doing it. McAllen, 18. I'm listening to the podcast. Thank you. You're very welcome. What are these percentages? Well, you usually pay an agent 10%. You usually pay an attorney 5%. And you usually pay a manager 10%. That's 25%. I give away a lot of my money. They don't see it that way. In their minds, they're letting me keep 75% of my money. That's how they see it. I'm planning to self-produce. Would you recommend a pilot or a whole show or feature? Well, if you want to get into a screenwriting, if you want to enter a feature, if you want to make an indie film and you want to get into enter it into a festival, that's a great way to do things, right? If that's what you want to do, that's wonderful. And if you do sell it at ideally you sell it to a festival and then it gets picked up by a distributor and then they distribute it and you make barely anything. I think that's we don't make a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money in any of these deals, but it gets your name out there, and that's a great way to do it. If you were to produce a pilot out of your own money, you're not going to sell it. It's going to be a calling card. I don't even recommend. It's going to be a calling card. I will say this though, if you make multiple episodes of your show and you put it up on YouTube and it gets a following, that can do something for you. That can move the needle. A couple of years ago, I think one of my agent or a manager, one of these people I pay, I don't know, set us up on a meeting, and they said, "Hey, there's this woman. She's got a great YouTube channel where she makes these, mini episodes. I don't want to tell you what it is, but she makes these mini episodes. What do you think of her?" And we watched. The first thing, what happened was a small production company found her. And the production company contacted me and my partner. I don't know who, through my agent or my manager, whatever. So the production company found her because that's their job. Their job is to seek out people who have great, interesting content with big followings. And so she had this YouTube channel where she had these, mini episodes that she put up, and they were uneven. Some were great, and some were but some were great, and some had like 2 million people following, whatever watched, and some had 40,000. So it was very uneven. But there was a lot of I saw potential, and so and I wasn't the only one. The production company saw potential. Hold on, what's going on with my hair? Anyway, I'm not vain, but I am worried about my hair. So they called us in for a meeting. What do you think? And we're like, hey, maybe, yeah. We met her. We met her and her partner, and we're like, if we were to develop, the goal was to develop into a TV show and sell it. She did all this work for free on herself. She put it up. She built up a following. She did it all, right? She did a lot of work. And like I said, some was great and some was not so good. And we said, well, maybe we could sell this as a TV show, but you would have to make these following changes. Are you good with that? And she and her partner were like, yeah, we're good with that. I'm like, because I don't want to talk you into anything. This is what me as a professional, this is what I would need to do to sell the show, I think. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. We can go our separate ways. But this is what we would do. We would have to do. And she was okay with that. She and her partner were okay with that. So we were going to take it out. As a project and try to sell it. We were going to work on it and then probably try to sell it, pitch it in a couple of months. And the odds of selling these things are low, maybe 1 out of 5 or something. But it's a shot. And then she and her partner, her business partner in this venture, they got greedy. Not with us. They got greedy when the negotiations came down with the studio. And because I remember calling up the production company a couple of weeks later. I was like, hey, where's the paperwork? We're supposed to sign paperwork to commence this project. And they're like, yeah, it fell through. I'm like, wow, it fell through? What happened? I was like, first of all, why didn't you tell me it fell through? That's kind of rude, but whatever. They should have called. But it fell through because she and her partner got greedy. They wanted more. They felt like they wanted more power. They wanted more money. They wanted more producing control over it. It wasn't me they're negotiating against, right? They were negotiating with the studio. And the studio said these guys are becoming too difficult. And they want too much, and they have no leverage. And the thing is, they don't have leverage. Like, they had no leverage. Like, it's almost stupid what they did. No, it was stupid. Your first deal, you're going to get screwed. Just understand that. I got screwed on my first deal. Everyone gets screwed. Why? Because you have no leverage. It's a take it or leave it situation. Take it or leave it. That's how the studios, and that's fair. You have no leverage. And so, why am I yelling at you? It wasn't you. And so that's how the deal fell through. And whatever happened to her, I don't know. I felt bad. I didn't feel that bad. But whatever. That's what they shot themselves in the foot. I'm going to talk for a few more. I went over. I've already gone over 5 minutes, so I'll talk for a few more minutes and address a few more questions, and then I'm sorry, guys. I've run out of spin drift. It's not up to me. What's the best way to get back in with your agent if they've cooled off because your project stalled in the pandemic? Yeah, what's the best way? I don't know, man. You gotta grind it out. You gotta make it happen. Like I told you, you cool off and they cool off fast. They're always. Hollywood is about heat. I've cooled off too in my career sometimes, and then you got to heat back up. I don't know if this is the best way. You just got to grind it out, make it happen, keep working. Would you send someone who used to work in the industry, a former at BBC, if you spoke to them and they asked you to, or just focus on getting into people currently? No, Jim. No, that's not your name. It's JJ McGetchen. That sounds like a good Irish name. Definitely reach out to them. Definitely, because their opinion matters. Their opinion matters and it counts. And they still will have contacts. It's not like they dropped off the planet. They still have contacts. So their advice counts. For sure. That's a contact. Even though they've left, they're still a valuable contact. Are there really character types in sitcoms? Do you follow these? I think you're talking about maybe like archetypes, like Joseph Campbell archetypes. No, I don't. But I do teach how I develop. I show you the method in my course how I develop characters. If you want to get that. It's Miguel says, what is an agent? An agent theoretically is someone who. Yikes, I guess I should have explained this in the beginning. Sorry. An agent is theoretically someone who seeks out work for you and gets you work, and in exchange they get a commission. That's the theory. Maybe a couple more questions, then I'm going to... Lovely Ann. I had to read submitted scripts for an internship, and I got in trouble for telling people what they needed to do to fix the script. We just throw them away and make sure it's formatted correctly. Yeah, okay. Are there any significant differences when writing animation versus sitcom? No. Story structure, and I've written for both. I've written for Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Glenn Martin, DDS. Where's Glenn? There he is. That was a stop motion. That was stop motion animation. It's story structure. It's all the same. The format is different, but that's easy. The formatting is, it's easy. Last question, and then I'm going to log off. I hope this has been helpful. What is the path if you're looking to start as a production at a production company instead of just as a writer? Well, you contact any production company, any of them. I want to work for you. I will answer phones. I will fetch lunch. I'll do whatever it takes because I love your products. You reach out to them and say, hey, I love this movie that you made. This is my favorite. Tell them what you loved about it. Don't just blow smoke. Just say, hey, tell them exactly why you like them and why you want to work for them in any capacity. And then follow up and send it as an email, and then also send it as hard mail because no one ever gets hard mail anymore. When they open up the letter, they go, "Ooh, what's this?" Right? So do it that way. Spend the postage. Spend the money on the postage. It'll pay you back. Okay, everyone. So once again, let's review what we learned here. Review? I didn't know it was going to be tested. I wasn't paying attention. What do I do? Don't worry. If you missed this, if you missed part of this, I'm going to repost this on my YouTube channel. So subscribe to my YouTube at Michael Jamin Writer. I also post some stuff on Facebook. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook. If you want to follow me on Facebook as well, it's also at Michael Jamin Writer. Depends where you're on. I post a lot of stuff there. The YouTube is for my longer videos. Sometimes I do lives on Facebook too. So you might want to follow me there at Michael Jamin Writer. We post a lot of stuff. My podcast is called Screenwriters Need to Hear This. You can get that for free anywhere podcasts are given away. The link is all this good stuff you can find in my profile, by the way. If you don't want to remember this, just go to my profile and click it. And then it'll give you a laundry list of all this good stuff that I give away. If you want to get the story of how I broke into Hollywood, how I got my agent, that's a fun read. And for my upcoming book, A Paper Orchestra, you can go to michaeljamin.com/story. Download that for free. If you want to get my watch list, that's my list where I send out one email every Friday for actors, writers, and creative types that will help you. Now you're watching only 3 videos a week. My top 3 videos, not the garbage ones, not the crappy ones, the good ones. And you can get on my watch list also for free. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you. You can go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist or go to the profile here as well. And for those of you who really want to up the game, then there's my screenwriting course, and that's also at michaeljamin.com/course. And you can also get the first lesson for free. And it's interesting. I know. Even if you don't want to do the whole course, that will be you'll get a lot. You go, oh, that's interesting. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, share me with your friends. Tell whatever. Say, hey, there's this great guy. He's giving it away. That's it. Be well. Be safe. I hope this helped you, and I really wish you all a lot of luck. The pandemic can be a blessing for us, right? Use this time wisely while you can't see your friends. Use the time wisely and take advantage of it, right? It's been a curse, but there's also a silver lining. Okay, everyone, be safe. Thank you for following. Okay, be good.